Welcome to the 12th Annual Caring Force Rally. My name is Bill Jelinek, and I'm the President and CEO of the Providers Council. It's my honor to be joining our Caring Force Committee co-chairs to co-host this event, Lydia Todd and Stephanie Steed. I'm also thrilled to be joining all of you, our Caring Force members, to get this rally started today. We launched the Caring Force many years ago with the goal of empowering people and strengthening human services. And as I look around this room today, I'm inspired by your attendance, your enthusiasm, your advocacy, and your support of more funding for human services and higher salaries for human service workers who fill 160,000 jobs in Massachusetts. Give yourselves a round of applause. And thanks to all of you, our Providers Council members, for attending today and being ready to rally. The Council is supported by an incredible board of directors, including our board chair, Shahir Mustafa. Will all our board members take a minute to stand or raise your hand and be recognized by the crowd here today? Thank you for making this a success. I'm blown away by the attendance in the room. It's incredible, and we want to know who's here. So, if you're joining us for the first time, if this is your first Caring Force rally, would you wave your hand, clap, or cheer this morning? And I know there's a lot of you in here where this is not your first rally. You've been here many, many times. Please clap and cheer. This year we try to do something a little new with the Caring Force, and these are the Caring Force regional rallies that we've been doing across the Commonwealth. We were north of Boston in March and Peabody. We were south of Boston in Taunton in April. Just a couple weeks ago, we were at Metro West, and we're planning events later this year in Worcester and Springfield. If you've attended or you're planning to attend a regional rally, would you make some noise and cheer this morning? And certainly we want to know who's in the room. So would you cheer when I mention the region? I know we have some attendees from Western Mass this morning, right? Who's here representing from Central Mass this morning? How about north of Boston, Northeast? Who's here from Southeast, the Cape, the Islands this morning? And what about Boston or Greater Boston? Who's here from that area? Whether you traveled near or far, thank you for being here today. I know some of our Western Mass members had to wake up well before 6 a.m. to get here this morning and get on that bus up Pittsfield at 6 a.m. So thank you for making the drive. We appreciate everyone joining us here today to help advocate for more funding for human services so we can ensure fair compensation for workers and increase the funding for human service programs, allowing all who need services to receive them. Lydia and Stephanie will get into our specific asks in just a moment. We'll hear from some incredible speakers who will make the case for why those items are so important. We'll also honor 2 of our legislative champions who are receiving Caring Bear Awards today, and maybe we'll hear from a special guest who's gotten one in the past as well. Before I turn over the microphone, I just need to do a little light housekeeping this morning to make sure this rally is an enjoyable experience for all in attendance. I'm sure most of us in this room, everybody's got one of these, right? You all have cell phones. I would never ask you to turn them off, but please put them on silent. We hope you'll use your phone during the rally to take pictures, post on social media and tag hashtag the Caring Force Rally, tag us at the Caring Force, and please share those pictures and videos and thoughts from today. But please put your phone on silent right now. Thank you so much. If you need a seat, we do have limited seating. I think there's a couple seats available up here and back, so if you need limited seating, you can go over there as well. There's seats around. As you can tell, noise travels in this room. It can be loud from time to time, so please refrain from talking, especially when our speakers are telling their personal stories. If you do need to have a conversation, there's exits in the back on the side, just step out in the hall. And then finally, after this program concludes, one of the most important things today is to visit your elected officials, get their support that will help support Chapter 257 funding, a report about the pay disparity in our sector, and our student loan payment legislation. And with that, I've done enough talking. It's time for me to pass the microphone on to Lydia Todd and Stephanie Steed. Lydia has been the longtime chair of the Caring Force Committee, and we're thrilled she's also joined today by Stephanie, who became our Caring Force Committee co-chair recently. Lydia and Stephanie, the floor is yours.
morning and welcome to my fellow human service workers, the individuals and families we are fortunate to serve, and members of our legislature and their staff who support our essential life-changing and life-saving work. Our Caring Force Rally recognizes this work and advocates for the support we need to keep doing it. This year, we also held regional rallies, as Bill mentioned, to engage more of our Caring Force in meeting their legislators in their home districts. Our work is largely out of the public eye for reasons of privacy, dignity, and safety. But there are more than 160,000 of us across the Commonwealth assisting individuals and families who find themselves in need of a little extra support. Over the past 5 years, the legislature has broken records in their support of our work. Many, but not all, of us have been able to increase starting salaries by up to 60% to nearly $20 an hour. We received funding to create a workforce pipeline. The legislature also dedicated funds to student loan repayment to keep human service staff in the field. And the budget for fiscal year 25 reflects the legislature's continued investment in our work with $390 million additional dollars to keep the lights on and provide cost of living increases. We know that the legislature has been listening and values the work we do. To our senators and representatives and to their staff who do the fact-checking and the research, thank you for your efforts, confidence, and recognition, and for helping us make tangible gains in compensation for you, our dedicated workforce. And yet, here we are, asking yet again to achieve 2 goals. First, for a livable wage, because one job should be enough, especially when it is this complex and this important. To make ends meet, many of you must work 2 jobs, leave the field, or go to work for the state, where the livable wage also comes with the promise of a secure retirement. A livable wage for human service workers is also a social justice issue, as women and BIPOC staff are heavily overrepresented on the front lines. Second, it is clear from the hearty response to the recent student loan repayment program that institutionalizing this as an annual program would help recruit and retain staff. And keeping staff is essential. Outcomes for those we serve improve dramatically as staff are stable and experienced and as there's less turnover of caregivers. A stable workforce also assures those we serve that they are valued. One of the benefits of the state-provider partnership is that we, the providers, are nimble, while the state can move a little more slowly. The state knows this and can lean on us to get things done. This past year, as just one example, our state experienced an unprecedented surge in homeless families. Provider organizations stepped right up and created innovative solutions that were ready quickly. Some of the families came to us with complex trauma, language barriers, and challenges that are new. But when you show us, people who have unmet needs, we rally. We aspire to make our Commonwealth a little kinder and gentler. We showcase the best of humanity, and we move mountains when we stand together. Our big-hearted workforce is critical to our reputation for taking care of our own, and that includes people who have just chosen our great state as their home. While Stephanie and I, as co-chairs of the Caring Force, make advocacy and education part of our daily jobs, we really want you to hear from our frontline workers and from families and individuals that are served, who will speak directly about what a livable wage and loan repayment would mean to them, to their ability to continue doing this work, and most importantly, to the people they serve. So without further ado, I am honored to introduce Kingsley Brown, a devoted human service professional with over 31 years of experience. Currently the Assistant Director of Community Connections at TIL, Inc., Kingsley's commitment to caregiving has been a driving force throughout his distinguished career. He joins us here to discuss the need for a livable wage and a student loan repayment program for the sector. Welcome, Kingsley.
Good morning. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to represent the many human service workers in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I've been in human services for over 31 years. I got my start as a summer intern at the Urban Youth Collaborative Program. I remember my first award I received from the state for being the top intern in that program. That summer I was asked what I thought about the field, and I said this: I feel this would be good for me. I also like working with people. I think I could be good at this. I then became an intern at the Dorchester Counseling Center, now known as DEMIC. I remember my excitement to start that summer, and after going through my training and onboarding, after being placed in my program and working one shift, July 5th of 1995 will forever change my life. That day I was supposed to start work, I was in a car accident that impacted my life tremendously. I could have lost my life that day. I had several injuries: head trauma, facial lacerations, and I had to have my appendix removed. I was home for weeks with my mother as my caregiver. I had an epiphany. I realized how valuable my role as a caregiver was to the people that I worked with. That gave me the zeal I needed. From that day forward, I was committed on becoming a change agent. I'm currently the Assistant Director of Community Connections for TIL, where I've been with for over 29 years. I'm passionate about the work I do. I feel I have the greatest job in the world. I'm a part of my company's training staff and leadership team, and I feel I impact the lives of so many of the individuals and the staff that I work with daily. This has been my heart's work. For years in my career, I've had to work 2 or 3 jobs for an excessive number of hours to be able to provide for myself. I remember working 2 jobs and wanting to go back to school to pursue my degree in human services. Just thinking alone of how I could work and balance school scared me. At times, I felt I was already overextended and burnt out. I went on to enroll in school, but I was unsure how I was going to pay my tuition and pay my bills. But to advance my career, I needed a degree that gave me the option to make more money. After a semester, I dropped out. I was working 60 to 80 hours a week and taking classes. This is often a reality for people in the field of human services. The one thing I want to accomplish more than anything is to get my degree, my bachelor's degree. That's why the livable wage and student repayment bill would help my dream become a reality. After all, one job should be enough. I'd like to... As I take my seat, I'd like to leave you with a quote from Theodore Roosevelt, and it reads, "Far and away, the best prize that life offers is the chance to work hard at work worth doing," end quote. I thank you for the opportunity to share.
Thank you, Kingsley, for sharing your compelling story. Next up, we have Heather O'Connor, a case manager at Advocates, Inc. Heather has joined us today to share the critical role human services workers play in improving the lives of individuals with disabilities and to speak about the need for a livable wage for the human service sector. Please join me in welcoming Heather to the podium.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Heather O'Connor, and I'm honored to be speaking here with you today. I'm case manager at Advocates of Ashland, Mass. I've been working in the human service field for more than 13 years. And while it can be physically, emotionally, and mentally taxing, I absolutely love what I do. I found my passion for helping people as a child with a disabled father. My father had a stroke and a brain aneurysm in 1955 at 18. With there being little to no technology back then, they didn't think my father would live, let alone get married, have 2 beautiful daughters, and a wonderful life and career. My father got his master's degree at Boston University after attending Boston College. He worked for many, many years as an English teacher in both Marlboro Middle and Marlboro High School. People often underestimated him his entire life, as he had a completely paralyzed left arm and a brace on his left leg, leaving him with a bit of a limp. Due to the immense determination he had, he made sure to instill in my sister and I that we could do and be anything we want if we worked hard and envisioned the end result. Throughout my life, I have struggled, but I have always succeeded. I got my GED at 30 and then went to college immediately following. It took me 5 years to get my associate's degree due to being a single mom of 2 young daughters. But when I completed it, it was one of the proudest moments in my life. Since being in this field, I have seen great strides made to enhance the lives of the individuals that we serve. However, I've also watched the struggles of my peers, as well as myself, to merely financially survive in our grossly underpaid and overlooked profession. What we do brings us great joy, getting to see the smiles on the faces of our individuals, seeing their giant steps towards their goals, and their independence and ability to do things that they never thought that they could. People on the outside simply do not understand what goes into working with individuals with physical and developmental disabilities, I cannot tell you how many times I've heard people say, I couldn't do what you do. My reply is simple. Well, luckily, there are people like me that can. It pains me to work so hard and see so much success in the individuals I serve, only to go home and wonder how I'm going to pay rent this month. The cost of living continues to climb, yet wages are stagnant due to lack of funding for such an important job. Without human services, these individuals would not have the quality of life that they do. Our field is severely understaffed because this field can be grueling, and the wages don't reflect the importance of our work. I ask that the legislators support the reporting language in Chapter 257 Reserve in the State Ways and Means Budget Proposal to understand the pay disparity between human service workers in state-operated agencies and workers in private, community-based nonprofits. All of us here today. In closing, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out to support us and help fight for a livable wage as we care for some of the population's most at-risk people. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather, for sharing your powerful story with us. Next, we will hear from Scott and Nancy McCullough, who are parents of a program participant at DAMC. They are here to advocate for more funding for the human services workers that do so much to support their son, Patrick. Please help me in welcoming Scott and Nancy.
Thank you. First, I want to say, Heather Ainsley, thank you. Our lives and the lives of so many in the state are built on the back of your sacrifice, your dedication, and your willingness to do the things that you do. I'm Scott, and this is my wife, Nancy, and we've been asked to speak a few minutes about our son, Patrick. He was born in 1991 at 22 weeks gestation. Full term is 40 weeks. There was never reason given. His mother had no underlying health conditions and had excellent prenatal care. Still, there he was at 1 pound 14 ounces with little chance for survival. At 10 days, he suffered a massive intraventricular hemorrhage, a bleed within the brain, somewhat like a stroke. And several weeks later, he underwent surgery where 90% of his intestine was removed. It was 2.5 months before we could hold him, and almost 5 months before we finally could take him home. The first couple of years, it felt like he spent more time in the hospital than out of it. There were seizures that would last nearly an hour, which the doctors couldn't seem to stop. And there was brain surgery to place and later revise the shunt that controlled his hydrocephalus. When we quit counting after the fourth time, we were told that it was almost certain that he was not going to make it. I mention these things because they tell you who my son is. He had no intention of giving up. He is stubborn and willful. If he wanted to go left, he's sure to go right. If you need him to sit still, he's on his way to the door. Playful Patrick will steal the food off your plate or drink coffee with a grin on his face. Angry Patrick will hit, bite, and scream, or break your windshield in your car, which he did just last week. He'll get your attention just to tell you that he loves you, or look for sympathy when he stubs his toe. He'll jump up and down, too excited to contain himself when he sees someone important to him. And when he's upset, he'll bang his head so forcefully on the wall or door that concussion is a very real possibility. His hands are scarred from bite wounds he has given himself. If you have never been in a position of having to keep someone safe as they kick and scream and bite and hit, as they try to hurt themselves, and you count yourself lucky. After a while, you start to figure it out. You start to get the fact that he understands more than he can express, so watch your words and watch your tone, because nobody likes to be spoken down to. You start to speak Patrick, reading all the little cues that he uses to communicate. And you start to figure out how to give him control over the things in his life in safe ways, in ways that bring a smile to his face and to yours. You start to figure out how to give him the dignity in life that we say is our goal, in real ways that make a difference. I'll guarantee you that you don't figure that out dead tired from working 2 jobs because you have rent to pay. Those who work with Patrick and the thousands of other individuals receiving services across the state deserve to be paid fairly. Human service workers are responsible for supporting the most vulnerable in Massachusetts. It is not equitable, fair, or safe to not pay human service workers a livable wage. Our budget and legislative priorities are more than just bill numbers and line items. They hold the funding which can uplift the human services sector and make sure that Patrick receives the care he needs. Patrick is a wonderful human being. He is a joy to be around, and more than anyone I know, he brings out the best in the people who work with him. He laughs and he loves. He gets close to the people that care for him, and he misses them when they're gone. He asks for these people months and sometimes years after they leave. To him, they are family. Family is about relationships, and relationships, all relationships, take time and consistency. If you can lead or support change that brings fairness and equanimity, that allows loving, nurturing people to do what they do so well without fear of economic insecurity, I ask that you choose to see Patrick, that you choose to see the right. Thank you.
Those are impossible, powerful stories to follow. So instead of trying, we're just going to ask for another round of applause from Scott, Nancy, and Heather Kingsley. Thank you all. Thank you so much for sharing your stories and sharing why you're here today, why you do the work, and how important human services are. Thank you. It's my honor now to introduce someone who's been doing the work and who's been a champion for human services in the caring force, and that's our Senate President, Karen Spilka. If you want to see how long she's been doing the work, she's going to show you how sun-faded her QT is. The Senate President was among the first awardees back in 2012 when we bestowed the Caring Bear Award, and he has the age to show for it. QT. Wow, he's been sitting in a window. The Senate President has been a tireless advocate for human services. She's always fought for higher salaries for direct care workers. In the Senate budget, which is being debated in this building today, the Senate President has included $390 million for the Chapter 257 reserve that supports more funding for human services and more higher salaries for direct care workers. The Senate budget also contains language that would create a report on the pay disparity between community-based human service workers and state workers with similar job titles. We're greatly appreciative of the Senate's support of human service workers throughout the Commonwealth. I can certainly go on and on and on and on, believe me, about the Senate President's support of human services, but I'll keep this brief so we can hear from her before she has to return to the Senate's budget debate happening today. So without any further ado, it's my pleasure and my honor to introduce our good friend and a true champion for human services, Senate President Karen Spilka.
I think he'll sit there. I think you can see his shirt is a little faded, but I brought it because I keep it prominently in my Senate President office for other people to see and to remind me on a daily basis the importance of the caring workforce. So I want to thank you, thank Bill, Shahir, council members, and the caring force for your advocacy, and all of you who have come out today to advocate for the caring force and those that you work with. Just to let you know, for those that have not been here before, and I say this every year, this issue is near and dear to my heart, and I want to thank Heather, Scott, and Nancy for sharing your stories, and that's what makes the difference, to hear your perspectives. But please know, I understand your work. I was my sister's advocate long before I was a legislator. My sister had Down syndrome. Unfortunately, she passed away in 2017. I was her legal guardian. I was her guardian for everything. And she is one of the reasons why I ran for the legislature to begin with. And to this day, she still grounds me on days when I get frustrated, and I can be honest with all of you, it can be frustrating here in the State House. Things go slowly, sometimes too slowly for me, but you know, I look at the Caring Bear, I look at my picture with Susie, my sister Susie, in my office, and it becomes crystal clear to me that this is one of the primary reasons why I do what I do. So I want to thank all of you because I know the important work that you do. And it gives me great joy to see the sea of yellow shirts in force, the caring force in force, in the State House, in the People's House. So I want to thank you for being strong voices and being willing to share your stories and talk to people, talk to other senators, other representatives. Your voice really does make a difference for you and the folks that you care for. What you advocate for will make our families stronger, our communities stronger, and in the long run, clearly, our Commonwealth stronger. And I think it seems in some ways like a lifetime ago, but it's important to say thank you for getting us through the COVID-19 pandemic. We can't forget that. You were on the front lines. You were on the front lines in our healthcare facilities, in our group homes. You were on the front lines all across the Commonwealth. You saved lives, you supported our collective well-being, and you laid the groundwork for our recovery. From the bottom of my heart, of our hearts here in the State House, thank you, thank you, thank you. But we all know that COVID was not the first or the last time that you showed your tenacity, your persistence, your strength. We know, and in hearing the stories, it's crystal clear that your fortitude drives you every single day and continues to drive our healthcare ecosystem. As a state, there's no doubt that we've built back strong since COVID. But it's also no doubt, it's very clear that we have a lot more to do to create the equitable and accessible healthcare system that all Massachusetts residents deserve. And the Senate, rest assured, we are laser focused on this. Last year, the Senate, we started by creating a loan repayment program and scholarship program for human service workers, making nursing degrees free at every single one of the 15 community colleges across the state, by allowing practicing nurses with bachelor's degrees to teach at higher education institutions so they can share their expertise with the next generation of nurses, and we can train more and more nurses because we have a nursing shortage. And one thing I am especially proud, the Senate led the way on making tuition equity a reality. This year, we are doing more for our workforce so providers can staff up and hope eventually bring costs down. As we speak, right upstairs in the Senate, we are debating our fiscal year 2025 budget. As noted, it includes a record amount of funding for the human service sector. Including $390 million for Chapter 257 rates. That's a lot of money, yes. The budget includes $3 billion for a range of services and focused supports for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and nearly $2 billion to protect and deliver a wide range of mental health services and programs across the state. Over $600 million will go directly to the Department of Mental Health Adult Support Services. Our budget includes what we are calling Mass Educate. We want to try to get anybody who wants to go to public higher ed, get them in the door, get them trained, get them to achieve their dream. So we start with universal free community college this fall, the fall of 2025, and this will expand the success of the nursing program and reconnect to make every human services offering at all 15 community colleges available at no cost. And we invest in historic numbers and historic investments in the early education sector to make childcare more affordable and accessible, especially for the working families that need it. In the Senate, we are focused on making it easier to live, study, raise a family, work, and hopefully stay right here in Massachusetts. We know we cannot outsource your jobs. We need you to stay here in Massachusetts. We cannot outsource your jobs. We need you, so we're focused on trying to make it easier for you to be here. We know that when our healthcare and human services workforce succeeds, we all succeed. These are important milestones, and I know we still have more to do, but you need to know this would not be possible without your voices, your advocacy. So keep speaking up, keep pushing forward, and know that the Massachusetts Senate sees you, values your voice, and will always be strong supporters of your workforce. Thank you again for everything you do.
Thank you very much, Senate President Spilka, for those really encouraging words. And it looks like we're here on the right day, right, folks? I just want to go around and tell everybody, do what you're doing today. Don't let it slip. So this is fantastic. It is now my distinct pleasure to present our Caring Bearer Award to Senator Joan Lovely. Senator Lovely. I first met Senator Lovely when she came into office and was visiting local human service organizations. She has been a steadfast champion of the work that we do and has been keynote speaker at our last 3 legislative breakfasts in the Northeast region and our recent Caring Force rally. Accessible and compassionate, Senator Lovely supports legislation that is good for our workforce because she understands that you are all essential workers and that the work you do is invaluable. Senator Lovely is in her 6th term as state senator for the 2nd Essex District, composed of Beverly, Danvers, Peabody, and Salem. Senator Lovely has been serving in the Massachusetts Senate since January 2013. After raising a family in Salem with her husband Stephen, Senator Lovely went back to school to earn degrees from Salem State University and the Massachusetts School of Law. She began her activism at the local level when she collaborated with neighbors and volunteers to build a local playground for children and families in Salem. In 1997, Senator Lovely successfully ran for a seat on the Salem City Council, where she served for 15 years, and during that time, she served twice as City Council President, acting mayor, and was the council liaison to the Council on Aging and Commission on Disabilities. Senator Lovely now serves in leadership as Assistant Majority Leader and as Chair of the Senate and Joint Committees on Rules. She also proudly serves as Senate Vice Chair of the Joint Committee on State Administration and Regulatory Oversight and as a member on several Senate committees, including the Juvenile and Emerging Adult Justice Committee and the Special Senate Committee on Opioid Addiction Prevention, Treatment, and Recovery Options. Outside of her committee work, Senator Lovely is the Senate Chair of the Massachusetts Caucus of Women Legislators. She is also a member of so many caucuses that if I read them all, we'd be here for an hour. But among them, she served as Senate Chair of the Ellen Story Commission on Postpartum Depression, where she now serves as a member. Senator Lovely and her husband are the proud parents of 3 adult children and grandparents to 2 beautiful grandchildren. And she has been such a friend to us, so I'm hoping Senator Lovely will have a few words for us today.
Thank you. I am so honored to receive a Caring Bear. And I just want to say, hello, Caring Force! You are all a force. And I had really the distinct pleasure to take part in a rally in Peabody just back in March, and it was just as full as this room is this morning. I'm so proud to see all of you, and equally proud of all the work that you do every day to take care of the vulnerable among us. People in our families, people that we know personally, our loved ones. Madam President, you mentioned your beloved sister Susie, and also to Heather and Scott, and to your son Patrick, and your loved one, and everything that this Caring Force does to care again for our loved ones. I want to just speak quickly. The President brought up what we're doing in the FY FY25 budget. Right now, the Senate is upstairs in active debate, talking about this, but also supporting hundreds of millions of dollars to support the work that you do. We know how important it is. We want to make sure that you have a living wage, that you're fairly paid for the work that you do. So I am so happy to support the bill filed by Senator Cindy Friedman and Representative Kay Kahn, which is making its way through the State House, an act relative to a livable wage for human service workers, and an act relative to loan repayment programs for human service workers, which is now in Ways and Means, filed by my colleague Senator Sal DiDomenico and Reps Roy and Pimentelli. We are working hard to get these bills done on your behalf, because we know how hard you work every single day to take care of the loved ones that we care so much about, and you treat them just like your loved ones, and we couldn't ask for any more. We are so incredibly grateful. And again, thank you, Karen Forst. You are a force. Thank you. Thank you so much. I am so honored. Thank you.
It's great that this Care Bear found a wonderful place to rest in Senator Joan Lovely's office. I know the bear will be well taken care of, and it's a wonderful place. Congratulations, Senator Lovely.
Representative Mindy Domb. Okay. Representative Mindy Domb's journey in service began decades ago, marked by a steadfast commitment to community empowerment and public health advocacy. As Executive Director of the Amherst Survivor Center from 2013 to 2018, she orchestrated transformative initiatives that addressed immediate needs and cultivated a sense of dignity and empowerment among those served. Under her leadership, the center expanded significantly, offering many essential services from food and clothing distribution to healthcare access and community engagement programs. Representative Domb's visionary approach was instrumental in formulating volunteer programs and amplifying food distribution efforts. She introduced innovative programs such as the Diaper Distribution Initiative, which underscored her unwavering dedication to meeting the diverse needs of the community. Moreover, Representative Domb's impact extends far beyond the confines of Western Mass. Through her trailblazing work in statewide programs tackling pressing public health issues, her leadership and training initiatives for drug and alcohol treatment programs, jails, and homeless shelters on HIV and AIDS, hepatitis, and harm reduction strategies have been instrumental in saving lives and preventing the spread of infectious diseases. Notably, her role in developing and implementing the first online course on integrating harm reduction into drug and alcohol treatment garnered accolades from esteemed institutions like the United States Center for Disease Control and the International Harm Reduction Association, cementing her reputation as a visionary leader in the field. Through her exemplary dedication,
Representative Minnie Dobb continues to inspire hope and catalyze change, embodying the essence of the Caring Bear Award and leaving an enduring legacy of compassion and service. Thanks so much. The mic is yours for your words.
Wow, that was some speech. Thank you so much. So I'm sure many of you have heard that when Fred Rogers was a child and he saw something scary on the news, his mother was noted to say to him, "Find the helpers. There'll always be people who will be helpers." And today, I'm looking out on a sea of helpers. Thank you so much for everything you do for our Commonwealth, for our families, for our individuals. I love this bear, but it's really going to give me an opportunity to briefly talk a little bit about how I see your role and how thankful I am. And I want to also echo the Senate President's gratitude for your work during COVID-19. And I want to say that you were essential then, you are essential now, and you'll always be essential. So some of you know that before becoming a rep, I spent many years either working in human services or to support human service providers. And as a result, I know that you are the experts in compassion and connection. You connect with your participants in your programs and their families. You connect them to community and your networks, and you connect yourself to the wider commonwealth. You make an impact in your work every day, and indeed all throughout the day. And you may also have an impact here today in the State House. I want to remind you that you bring your expertise into the People's House. And by sharing it with legislators today and after today, you not only make us smarter, and you not only make us more caring, but you also make us partners in solving problems together. And I couldn't be happier that I'm getting this award today. As you share your expertise with legislators today, remember, it doesn't have to end today. Invite them to come and tour your facilities. Invite them to come and meet your co-workers, your families, your participants. Engage them in the challenges that you are seeing so that they can be effective partners. And you can inspire all of us to find solutions. Before I say thank you again, I just want to shout out two constituents who are here. So first, Becky, good to see you. Jacob, a stalwart volunteer at the Amherst Survival Center. Thank you all so much for this honor and this acknowledgement, but most of all, thank you also for the opportunity to say to you, you're the best. You make us look good every day. Thank you.
What an incredible morning. Another hand for our legislative morning. Before we discuss instructions for advocating here today, just to thank some folks. We've had many legislative aides and representatives. Representative Jarhos is here. I know I saw a few others. Representative Senator Comerford came by earlier. So thanks to the senators who came by, representatives. We also had aides from the offices of Rep. Cairns, Rep. Linsky, Rep. Heisch, Rep. Murphy, Senator O'Connor, Rep. Souza, and certainly Rep. Heisch and Cairns. They came twice, so doubly thanks to them. And Nora Bent here as well for the Executive Director of the Massachusetts Caucus of Women Legislators. So thanks to all who came by to hear about our information today. keep the thanks rolling. Let's thank Lydia Todd and Stephanie Steve for emceeing today's event for us. I'd be remiss too if I didn't take this opportunity to thank all the people you see around you in the long sleeve red t-shirts, because they are staff at Providers Council. Swan Allen, Hannah Bolster, Amanda Delay, Stephen Geller, Tracy Jordan, Pam Scheidel, Ann Shrew, and Nina Wallet. And a real special thanks go to Caroline O'Neill. If you know Caroline, Caroline is a rock star. This would not happen without Caroline, so please, if you see Caroline, thank her tremendously. And of course, our incredible speakers. Let's give them one more hand for sharing a really powerful story this morning. I think you've heard our legislators today call this the people's house, and it is. This is your house, and you're here to advocate today to legislators and make a huge impact on them. We can share numbers about the size and the scope of the sector, but that's not really what makes a difference. It's the personal stories, the stories we heard today, and the stories that you're all about to go share. That's what makes a difference. They need to hear from you about your why you do the work, why it matters, and why more funding in this sector would help improve services for those to whom you provide support, and salaries for dedicated caregivers like you who do the work. So you have an opportunity today during your time at the State House to meet with legislators and share your own personal why. You can further support that conversation by taking flyers, which we have around the corner here, filling them out, putting your name on there, your email address, and leaving them for legislators so they know what's important to you. Ask them on there to get in touch with you and let you know if they support human services. We hope you'll thank them for including the $390 million in 257 that we talked about. We hope you'll thank them for the language in the Senate budget that studies the pay disparity of human services. And of course, we hope you'll thank them for student loan repayment funding that we know is really needed in this sector. Let them know how more funding for human services could better provide essential supports to those for whom we care and or make a difference in your life by ensuring you receive a livable wage and allowing you to remain doing the work that you love. This event means so much to the council, board, and staff, and all of us in the Caring Force. We thank you so much for your participation this morning in the advocacy you're about to engage in. Come see anyone in a long red sleeve t-shirt if you need help finding a legislator's office, where there's QR codes around the hall and wall that'll tell you who your legislator is, where you can find them, and how to get there in the building. So again, thank you. Thank you for your support of the 12th Annual Caring Force Rally. Let's go talk to our legislators. Thank you.